The Sly Marathon. Why do I keep saying the Sly Marathon? I keep forgetting the name of my own marathon. Welcome back to the Gang's Day Off. Um, Joining us here, we have Inferno showing off Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2000 with Spyron on commentary. Why don't you give yourself a more of an introduction and give us a countdown, and we can get going.
Yeah, so I've learned this game over like the past couple years here and there, and definitely a privilege to have Spyron commentating with me. Definitely go check him out too. Um, but he's gonna definitely explain this for me while I log in and hopefully uh, show you guys a cool run. So, but yeah, I guess we'll get started. I'll just count on three, two, one, and go.
Excellent. Welcome on in, everyone. This is a Spider-Man tale as good as any that you'll ever read, see, or whatever else. Potentially one of the best parts of this game is just the story, but unfortunately, we're not really going to see any of that. We're just going to skip a lot of that. So with this game, this is the Dreamcast version. The thing we like most about the Dreamcast version, first of all, let's introduce that, is the fact that if you run on the PAL version specifically, using the VGA output option the Dreamcast gives you, you'll be able to run at 60 hertz, which is exclusive to this console and to this version of the game. Every other version of the game runs much slower. So obviously, speedrun, we like going fast, and so we'll go fast. This is the fastest version. We like that. A lot of the movement in this game involves Spider-Man, funnily enough, swinging, would you guess? So a lot of the tech you'll see involves a lot of swinging, a lot of zipping around. Zipping tends to be faster than swinging, so where possible, we'll be doing some zipping. Most of the time, we'll be doing a lot of swinging. Spider-Man has a couple of moves in this game as well. You're about to see two of them. That's a web ball. We're going to use that to fire off and defeat a few of these bank robbers on top of this room. There's also a web dome. You saw Inferno just kind of pop there. He did like an instant web dome where he pops it off. It actually pushes some of the bank robbers off the roof, the ones that don't get hit by the web ball, and that's how we get in. Walls. Walls are fun. We don't like walls. Our ceilings. So we're just going to go through this one. And you'll notice that as a result, the level is kind of deloaded, which makes it much easier for us to navigate through this room and the other subsequent rooms. The objective of this level is we've got to save, you can see 1 of 5 hostages, 2 of 5 hostages now. We've got to save all 5 hostages. So we've got 2 in the first room, and then 3 more in this last room there, all just chilling there. You punch one of the bank robbers. That'll send a signal to the other guys to just run. They'll leg it. We go to the elevator and we say, good luck, the rest of you, and we'll just peace out. That's the first kind of trick. Expect a lot of these kind of tricks where we just kind of ignore walls, doors, and ceilings for the most part. This level, again, the primary objective is to save hostages. We're just going to ignore them because actually, I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they can deal with this themselves. Doors, yeah, we don't like doors, of course. We've said this already. So we're going to attempt now to do a web zip through this door. If we get the right angle on this door, Spider-Man will just actually kind of ignore, there you go, the physics of the door, and we'll just phase straight through. That's a bank vault that you see on your right-hand side. That door would normally be closed. We normally have to hit one of those buttons on the outside of this room to open the door. But because we have glitched through into this room, the door actually doesn't load, which allows us, very handily, to throw this huge bomb into the bank vault and not have to open it first, and instead we can just instantly press the button to close it, even though you'll see in a second the door animation closing should be playing here. It doesn't. And magically the door's closed. And Spider-Man saves the day. Hooray! The game is over. No, sorry, game is not over, actually. This is just the start. What we've skipped at the beginning of the story, I guess, just to explain the story of this game is there's some sort of plot where, for whatever reason, Dr. Octopus has seemingly turned good, and he's showing off some tech at a tech exhibit thing. Spider-Man, in air quotations, comes in, beats everyone up, and steals this device that Dr. Octavius is showing off. And so Spider-Man's been framed for this crime, even though Peter Parker is out there in the audience and taking photos and things like that. And so Spider-Man's been framed for a crime. So this is the kind of background of what's going on. So as well as saving the day and defeating various bank robbers and things like that, Spider-Man's also got to find out what's going on here and clear his name. So that level, very simply, it's just get from one end of the kind of map to the other. We're about to hit our first boss battle, which is Scorpion. Now, this is a very common combo you'll see when it comes to bosses. Web gloves on, which is another one of the web moves, and kick, kick, punch. That is how we deal the maximum amount of damage. And unfortunately, what we were trying to aim to do there is we can, if we're lucky, defeat Scorpion in this first room in what we call a Scorpion 1 cycle. If Jonah Jameson is nice to us, unfortunately, he wasn't nice to Inferno this time round. We can actually defeat him with enough kick punches, 4 kick punches to be exact, in the first room before Jonah Jameson will actually run through to the second room. That's ideally what you want to do. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get it there. That is very RNG heavy, to be fair. As is a few aspects of this game. We'll get to another RNG boss a little bit later, everyone's favourite boss, potentially. But for now, we get to probably, out of context, even with context, I think, the most insane part of the story where, obviously, like we said, Spider-Man's been framed for a crime. The NYPD just decide, let's just nuke the entire city to chase Spider-Man. That's reasonable. So everyone in these buildings, I assume, it just dies because of the bombs and various missiles that have been shot at people. So that's fine, reasonable behavior there. We allow it.
Hopefully this one's abandoned.
A lot of this level, these next, yeah,
really
this one at least is abandoned. Yeah, this one maybe not too bad. Hopefully there's no like workers or anything inside this one. Feel bad if there were, because this building gets absolutely demolished, as you can see. There's a cool little trick on this level that Inferno is showing off here. Normally, casually, if you were playing this game without knowing, you would crawl up the entire side of this building. But because we're speedrunners and we know the future, because we've played these games many times, you can see the little ledges. Actually, by pressing on the Dreamcast, it's 2 buttons. You press 2 buttons to do a zip upwards. You can actually zip and skip half of the actual crawling sections, which obviously is much faster than crawling. It's the slowest option of movement in this game. One thing to note as well, you'll notice that Inferno, when web swinging, there's a couple of different avenues with web swinging. There's the 2 web swings, which you've seen there. 2 is generally how Spider-Man will move over longer distances. There'll be 2 web swings, and then he'll attach himself to whatever he's swinging towards. What can be done is if you swing, press the jump button, it'll actually cancel the swing and allow you to swing again. Generally, the fastest way to move in the game when you're in the air swinging is to swing once, cancel your swing, and swing again. Just because the single swing is much faster than the double swing. So where possible to optimize your movement, you're going to be doing the double swings. This is a very interesting level because it's the introduction of one move that you'll see twice in this run. We call the Flying Spider, which is actually a more recent discovery in kind of terms of this game. By setting up this very specific kind of movement here and a nice loop-de-loop in the air, perfect. For whatever reason, yeah, Spider-Man will just start flying. But for whatever reason, if you aim on a surface kind of upwards and kind of to your left or right, depending on what your position is, Spider-Man ignores just physics completely, and he just flies. And that's fine, and we like that because sometimes that helps us skip lots of things. We use that twice in this run. The first is just then. You'll see that again a little bit later on one of the more difficult levels, actually, one of the more painful levels for speedrunners, very reset heavy. That'll come up a little bit later in the run, though. So for now, just going to continue swinging. Lots of swinging in this section. Good levels for if you're wanting to run this game. If you want to practice your web swinging, these are good levels to do so because that's the entirety of the level, basically. Right, up next, it's Rhino. So just to kind of in the middle of this plot, Rhino also just gets involved for some reason. We're going to go and beat him up. Not by using our fists, but by using the web domes. So if you remember the web domes from the second level of this game, what we can do is, if you, for whatever reason, it allows us to kind of jump and push ourselves inside of Rhino's like model there, his player model thing. The deeper inside the Rhino's hitbox you get, the more damage the web domes will deal. So ideally you want to kind of be like right on top of him, and by holding down the 2 buttons normally that you do for the web dome, and then the kick button or the punch button, it'll actually just continuously pop those web domes over and over again without you having to like press the buttons again or like repeatedly. So that's quite handy. You can just repeatedly do those and that just blows him up from the inside basically, which is quite random. Everyone's favorite part of this game probably is Venom. So Venom appears then. Venom, the context of him being here is that he was also there as Eddie Brock in the audience during this framing of Spider-Man that went on at the very start of the game that we didn't see. And even though he was there and he saw Peter Parker in the audience, he just kind of forgets that because he's Venom. And so he's like, oh, he's kind of like the lethal protector like angle in this, where he's kind of a good guy. He's trying to be a good guy. And so very, very smartly, of course, he decides, I know what I'll do. Because Spider-Man now needs to be taught a lesson and I need to save the day as Venom, I'm going to kidnap Mary Jane, lock her in the sewers, and bait Spider-Man into chasing me to the sewers all the way there, and then I'm going to fight him. That's Venom's angle. And you know what, fair play. I guess that's not a bad take. If Spider-Man actually did do these crimes, you know, that's fair enough, but he didn't. So immediately his plan is kind of scuffed. But that's fine. We love this. We love Venom in this. I think personally, my favorite interpretation of Venom in any video game. I think this is perfect.
Oh yeah, he's
for
great.
me. Yeah, so good. So we have two Venom boss fights in this game. Very excitedly. This is the first one. So Venom will disappear and reappear. You can see it reappear there in a couple of locations in this small little alleyway. Again, we're going to get the web gloves on, kick, kick, punch. That's the optimal combo to be able to defeat him. We want to do that 3 times, ideally. On the PlayStation, which is the most popular version of this game to run, is the PlayStation version. What is very handy is if you hold down the L2 button, it'll actually lock on to Venom, so that when he spawns in, your camera will immediately flick to where he is. That is exclusive to the PlayStation version. Unfortunately, on every other version of the game, you have to just kind of be lucky and hope you're kind of facing the right way to see him spawn in. It's even worse on the N64 version. You can see there that even when Venom was kind of fading in, you can actually hit him during that fade in. On the N64 version, you can't actually hit him until he's fully formed, which is a bit awkward because sometimes you'll time it just slightly too late and he'll just whack you and it's like, time waste, brilliant, because he's just attacked me. We defeat Venom. We're now in the sewers. So a few handy swings here. We don't want to fall into the abyss because that will result in a game over and we'll have to restart the level. So we've got some nice swings across the pipes there. There's now lizards in the game because of course we're in the sewers, so lizards are going to be there. So that's fine. We're kind of going to venture through these sewers now until we reach eventually the second boss fight with Venom, but we've still got a ways off of that. We're approaching kind of the halfway point roughly in the game. The halfway point roughly we indicate by the level after this, which is a nice long subway ride where if we get it right, we don't really actually have to do anything. It's basically just a big long auto scroller. But first, we've got these pipes. These pipes can be a little bit scary because casually what it wants you to do is use the targeting mode, which you've seen Inferno. You'll see actually used here. There you go, just for a bit of safety. Ideally, it wants you to do that all the way across. But if you can angle your swings right and with the help of like swing cancelling, you can actually swing all the way over there without actually touching the pipes. That is quite risky though, quite dangerous. So if you touch the pipes, the best thing to do, as Inferno demonstrated there, is actually just to use the targeting mode to kind of get yourself going again. Much safer than actually just falling off and falling into the abyss. So there you go.
So as you can tell, this is a fast-paced game.
Yeah.
Going on.
So, some people's favorite level in the game, just because of how kind of chill it is. We're riding a subway. We're basically waiting. You can see there's a little train track going along the bottom of the screen. We're waiting for that train to reach the end, and the level will end at that point once it reaches the end of the track. What we can do here is there's a way to do this where you can actually jump inside of a lizard's hitbox, and you can just literally stand still and not have to do anything. Unfortunately, the lizards can be a bit funny. Sometimes they just walk into you the way you want to. So the backup option is what we call hug the homies. This is the hug the homie strat, where we just hug the lizards. For whatever reason, they just think, oh, that's really nice, and they'll just watch you instead of attacking you the entire train ride. Because they just really like hugs, which I'm sure is true of most people, to be fair. So I can't really blame them. I like how like hulking and like bulky the lizards and Spider-Man is, to be fair, in this version of the game, the Dreamcast version of the game. In the PlayStation version of the game, they're a bit more like polygonal, I guess is the word to it. They're a bit more like kind of rigid and a bit smaller. They're like proper like beastly in this game. It's quite cool. So of course, you know, big men want big hugs sometimes. So that's what we're going to give them here along this train ride.
How many of them are there?
Ordinarily, though, you could just put your controller down, maybe go make a sandwich. You know,
Yeah, you got You got a nice chunk of time, to be fair here. This level, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes of basically just waiting for the train to get to the end. Again, because this game is on other platforms, not on the Dreamcast version, because the Dreamcast version train actually ends at a pretty reasonable time, and you can't really do anything to skip or speed this section up. On other versions of the game, you can actually speed this up by, at a certain point, trying to defeat and get and hit the lizards, knock the lizards off the train. If you do it at a certain point, the train will end slightly earlier than the train track. We call that like a super train or a quick train. If you manage to pull that off, generally you'll find that though on other versions of the game. It doesn't really work on this version. This kind of section of the game onwards is what we call the gauntlet, because every level onwards from this point on has some sort of skip or trick involved, basically. So the first one you're going to see is, here's a gate. We don't like gates. They block us from going through and making progress. So we're just going to use targeting mode to slip through that very slight gap in the geometry there. And because Spider-Man is made of paper, he will just fit through that gap very easily. And we can skip literally like 2 minutes of an entire level there where you go up, hit some switches, and do all sorts of things. We don't do that. We're just going to ignore that. One of the shortest levels in the game, again, normally you'd hit more switches on here. But what we're going to try and do here is jump inside of this wall. We're going to then zip upwards, and what that should do is put us out of bounds, and we can actually kind of fall into the end level trigger. So we're gonna, here we go, yep, trying to get into this corner, and we should be able to, just sneak ourselves outward. It can be a bit tricky and fidgety just because of the geometry kind of hitting us and putting us in weird positions. But as you can see there, very excellently demonstrated by Inferno, you can just clip straight out of bounds, and that's the end of that level. This one now. This is a dangerous level. This is Tunnel Crawl. Perhaps the most hated level, or one of the most hated levels by our runners, but a very excellent display of what you want to do on this level. Roof zips are the way you want to get through this level very fast. By dropping from the ceiling. That was crazy, by the way. You've just done an absolutely insane Tunnel Crawl there. By dropping from the ceiling, so Spider-Man can't touch water, basically, is the point of this. If he touches the water, he'll drown. What he wants to do there, very sadly demonstrated that by there. If Spider-Man touches the water, he drowns. So what we want to do is not touch the water, but still want to go fast. The water will fall and rise again, and ideally, casually, what you're supposed to do is when the path here kind of zips, kind of like broaches back up in this middle section, you're supposed to normally wait in there for the water to rise and then fall again, so you can crawl across. But because the game has these roof zips in, you can kind of perform. As if you're quick enough by pressing the zip button, the swing button, you'll sometimes get those zips off. Sometimes you won't get it though, so you have to be very quick on pressing the swing button. And then if you don't get the zip up, across, you have to then press on the Dreamcast again 2 buttons to have to zip back up to the roof like that. So it's a very tricky kind of set of maneuvers here, and your fingers are kind of all over the place. It's a bit crazy, and it's very tricky. It's very, very tricky. So, again, one of the more tricky levels of the game, one of the hardest levels of the game, especially when you're kind of doing this. If those of you watching ever decide to give this run a go yourself, prepare to be frustrated on this level. It's totally normal. We all went through it. It's totally fine though, if you want to, as I think Inferno's going to do here. We're just going to wait for the second cycle and just keep it chill and casual. We wait for the water, you'll see it in a second rise, and then fall back down. And it's totally fine. It doesn't make too much difference. I said earlier as well about we're going to see this flying spider in 2 sections of this game. It's this level that we're also going to see the flying spider on. So after this point in the level, the second half of the level, what you'd normally do casually is you'd hit a switch, drain the water in this second area, you'd hit another switch and exit the level. What we want to do actually is fly over this wall we're kind of in front of us now. So Inferno's going to set this up by falling into a very specific position on this wall. Hopefully the water won't rise to hit him. I'm going to aim in a certain position, similar to how we did this before. Ooh, nice save. Close. Sometimes it can be a bit awkward and it won't hit the flying kind of animation won't hit. So this may take a couple of goes just to make sure it gets right. And there we go, we're locked. Oh, and he flies. And sometimes you get that as well. He'll hit the wall annoyingly and he'll stick to the wall. So this often can take a few attempts. But we want to try and lock in the flying spider to be able to fly upwards and over this wall. So here we go. So we're going to fly up, over this wall, down, enter the end of the level, which is just over there. So that's a very tricky trick, and very, very well done to Inferno there for pulling that off. A lot trickier than he made that look, and perhaps that looked tricky. It's very tricky. Very, very tricky one.
For my generous estimate there.
Yeah. This is another fairly straightforward level, unless you can't do puzzles like me when I was younger. 2 switches are all it requires to solve Venom's puzzle. That is the name of this level, is Venom's puzzle. What you can do there is what Inferno showed off, where if you shoot a web ball out to one of the switches, but then turn around and just do a regular web on the other switch, you'll actually hit both, and the animation will play for both and open both doors. So it saves you having to hit one, watch the door opening animation, hit the other, watch the door opening animation, and then hit the exit. So that speeds that level up a little bit, which is very nice. Again, we're in a level with water, and we got to get across it. So where possible, trying to use some roof zips here to be able to swing across and zip across a little bit faster than we would just crawling. Again, very dangerous, because if Spider-Man touches the water, he decides, yeah, I can't swim actually. So we're going to skip along here. Now, very funnily, what we can actually do is there's a wall here. Again, wall's optional. We're just going to zip through this wall and aim to this extra part of the kind of geometry sticking out here. This is actually just the end of the maze, very handily. So we're going to kind of just crawl to the final gate here. What we'd normally do casually after you're playing this no skips is you've got to go through all this entire maze, crawl all the way around. Yeah, we don't do that. We just skip through a wall, and it leads us straight to the end. Very, very handy. The second now, boss fight. It's Venom again. It's back. This one, potentially the worst boss fight in the game. Not because we don't like Venom, but because of the RNG involved. Venom can spawn in one of 4 locations when he reappears. Either in front of Inferno here, opposite Inferno, which is where he spawned there, or on the rafters on either side of Inferno. Ideally, we want him to spawn in front of us here or opposite us, because that's the easiest place to hit him. 2 web balls or a kick punch combo will make him disappear. The most optimal combo is 3 kick punch combos or 2 kick punch combos and 2 web balls. That will finish him off.
My controller is kind of
oh no,
doing something
well, it's a good thing he spawned over there. We might still hit him.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
Auto boss fight finish. Okay, what is my controller doing?
There's some technical malfunctions. No. That's fine. We're gonna watch this cutscene.
I guess
while we
yeah, it's not. Okay, I think we're back. I don't know what that was. Okay. But yeah, at least it auto-finished the boss fight for me. That was cool.
Yeah, very lucky, very lucky. Venom was very kind and saw we were having trouble, so he thought, I'll just walk into these web balls. It's fine. Leave it to me. Lovely. Right, we defeat Venom. We're now in the Daily Bugle. This is a skip, which is quite tricky. You've got to aim at a certain part on the wall here. You've also got this symbiote chasing us. The symbiotes now, by the way, they're the next kind of enemy. We defeat those, hopefully, because they're a bit annoying. Inferno's going to try and aim on this wall here to be able to clip through that bit of wall there. And if he manages to then spin himself round to the right-hand side of this corridor here, he'll actually, similar to the first kind of bomb levels, despawn. Oh, very nice, actually. That was pretty sick. So you'll see there, levels despawned. It allows us to jump, basically, now to the end of level trigger, which is just in front of him here. A bit of a scary jump, because sometimes that kind of end of level trigger is a bit wonky, and sometimes you jump thinking you're going to hit it and you won't. So nice jump there to the end of the level. Again, a similar trick here, where we aim on the opposite wall behind us, and for some reason that'll phase us through the wall that we're clipped onto. We then fall down to the correct level instead of waiting for the elevator normally that would slowly lower all the way to the bottom. We actually just skip that entire level by falling through the wall. That's fine. This level, stop the presses. We're going to defeat or destroy some generators. Normally, you casually destroy 4. We only need to destroy 2 to be able to exit the level. So we destroy the 2. We get ourselves trapped in this room, because when you go into this room, the door will close. But that's actually quite good for us, because behind the door is a deloaded level. So we're going to actually sneak our way through the door by doing a similar clip that we did on the bomb diffusal level, where we just kind of clip ourselves through the wall there. We can do a little 360 jump into the vent that actually is the end of level trigger. Very, very nicely displayed there. This level, again, similar to Tunnel Crawl, one of the trickier levels to perform in a speedrun, just because the timing of it's quite tight. we're going to try, and this door that Inferno's about to jump through is going to close at a certain point. He's going to try and zip back through just at the right timing, which was very close there. You'll see the spider sense will go off. We zip back through, and here we go. Get ourselves on the other side of the door, which actually deloads the level from our perspective. We're going to now try and jump around. Oh, and zip right under. Hell yeah, perfect. So we zip around, we zip under, and kind of travel away along the floor to be able to keep the rest of the level deloaded. If we zip up too early there, the level reloads back in. And excellently demonstrated by Inferno there. First try, which is crazy, actually. Very, very impressive. We swing to the end, jump around that little bit of wall that sticks up there, which is very annoying that it's there, and finish the level without falling into the void. Very, very nice. Mysterio, he's also part of this. So Mysterio, it turns out, is the imposter Spider-Man. He was the one who dressed up as Spider-Man, or disguised himself as Spider-Man to be able to do this. Entire plot of the game, basically. By standing in a certain position on this top layer, you'll see that Mysterio kind of goes for a grab. Unfortunately, not quite in the right position there. But if you stood in the right position, his hand will actually just phase through you, and you can just basically stand there for the entire boss fight. We're trying to destroy these glowing conduits that are on his body. We've got to do that twice for 2 phases of this boss fight. It kind of trivializes it a little bit because we can just stand here and not bother messing around with these different floors and phases.
I ran out of webs there.
Unfortunately, we ran out of webbing. So you'll notice that's a mechanic actually we haven't talked about yet. On the left-hand side, underneath Spider-Man's health bar, you'll notice he's got a kind of a web fluid tracker. You can carry 10 web cartridges max in this game, but the web moves and web swinging all cost webbing to use, basically. So you'll see as he uses the web balls, the webbing levels drop. So unfortunately, we didn't quite come into this level with enough to be able to just stand in the one position and continuously fire him off. That's okay, though. We should be able to pick up some extra ones. This is the second phase of the boss fight, where we just need, I believe, 1 more hit or 2 more hits. Should be able to finish Mysterio off here. So we just aim. There we go. Okay. 1 more. Straight at his head. Straight at his face. Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, pretty well handled, actually. That was really nice. Can be a bit touch and go there because there's lasers and electricity on the floor and all sorts of stuff. So, very well played there. Okay, our last...
What for me is the next or probably last scariest trick, really.
Yeah, this one a little bit scary because it involves kind of a leap of faith, which is kind of, I guess, quite apt for a Spider-Man game. We're going to squish ourselves in between the barrel and these boxes here to kind of glitch ourselves out of bounds. We're then going to jump off this platform here, in theory, to the end of level trigger. So we push Spider-Man forward until the last fan hits the ceiling, perfectly displayed there. And if we let go of pushing forward, once that last fan hits the top of the screen, we should fall exactly into the end of level trigger, as Inferno did there. Very, very tricky trick, if you're not quite sure where that is. But excellently displayed there. Very, very nice. That's kind of the last big skip of the game. There is another skip that you can perform on the next level, which isn't. It's kind of a skip. It's not anything where you kind of throw yourselves out of bounds. That's the more or less out of bounds skip. We're coming up to the end of the game here, unfortunately. Now this quite a quick game. Quite a speedy game in terms of speed runs. Again, this is one of my personal favorite. This is actually the first game I learned to speed run, and it'll long be probably my favorite, just because it has that kind of mix of everything that I personally look for in a speed run game. Is it pretty quick? Yep, it happens within like 30 minutes, basically 30-40 minutes. You'll be able to finish a run. Does it have glitches and tricks in? Yes, it does. Plenty of those, actually. Every level nearly has a glitch or a trick where you can kind of put yourself out of bounds or do something a bit fancy to progress the level a bit faster. Is there cool movement tech? Yes, there absolutely is, because Spider-Man swings and zips, which is very, very different from just a regular person jumping around and doing whatever. So this game, for me, is the perfect speedrun game. And I'll hear no arguments otherwise. So a recently, again, discovered trick in this game is normally what you'd have to do for this level is you've got to go around and hit 3 switches to unlock, close each of these big chimney things. But actually, what you can do is by hitting a switch twice, specifically with those fire webs that you pick up, it'll actually trigger the switches more than once. So actually trigger that switch twice. So by doing that, it also then, for whatever reason, leaves the switch still open to be able to be activated again. So we can just literally travel to one room, hit the switch 3 times using this trick where we hit the use our webs to hit it twice in one go. And it'll actually just finish the level without us having to go to the 3 separate rooms. The game sees that 3 switches have been pressed, and it'll just say, "Yeah, sound, you did it."
You can easily crash the game there, though. If you skip one of those cutscenes for whatever reason, it just completely locks the game up.
You've got to be very careful there, yeah. If you do that trick wrong, or if you try and hit the switch or skip the cutscene that plays after you hit the switch on the Dreamcast version and PC version specifically, you will actually just crash the game. So you've got to watch out for that. And you'll actually, if you do it wrong on other versions of the game as well, you'll crash the game. But you've got to do, a very specific version of that trick to be able to do it. This boss fight is Dr. Octopus. Turns out he wasn't a good guy the whole time. He's come up with this plot to get himself this device. I don't really know what he's doing. He's poisoning the city or something. So what we're going to try and do here is, let's see if he pulls it off.
I missed a couple of kicks, I think.
Oh, barely,
Man,
barely,
so
yeah.
close.
So really, really close there. What probably should have been it if Dr. Octopus wasn't mean to us, basically, and ate some of our inputs. When he hit that last switch, so you can see that we had to hit all the switches to be able to knock the shield off that's blocking Dr. Octopus from being hit. By hitting the last switch, instantly putting web gloves on, and then going in and hitting with 2 kick punch combos with web gloves, and then doing a web dome right as the shield pops back up, you can normally get him in one cycle and be able to finish him off. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get that. But again, very, very close, because literally had like a slither of health left over. So we just do it in 2. That's totally fine. And that's the Dr. Octopus boss fight, basically. Up next, Venom. Venom's, cousin, brother. I'm not quite sure how it works in terms of relationship, but it is Carnage. He was also in this game. You don't really see him if you skip the cutscenes until this point. His boss fight, casually, if you've ever played this game casually, a nightmare, because he's very strong. He'll just kind of knock you over and hit you loads, and it's very scary. In the speedrun, it turns out what you can actually do is just throw him into this sonic bubble, which, if you know the kind of lore of symbiote and Spider-Man, sonic bubbles and things like that, like these specific frequencies deal damage to symbiotes. So by locking him in this bubble here that kind of comes on and comes off, by just hitting him either with web balls or just spamming your webs on him to keep him in one place, it actually like trivializes the entire fight, and you just keep him locked in there. He can't do anything to fight you, and he'll just slowly die over time. Carnage down. And now you think, wow, well, that was good. We defeated both the bosses. That must be the end of the game. You would be wrong. Unfortunately, then we get this awful, terrible, scary combination of Dr. Octopus and Carnage, which is called Monster Rock, which, funnily enough, is only ever used in Spider-Man's comic book, video game, whatever history, once. It's used in this game, and they've never used this as a concept again in any other Spider-Man media, which is crazy to me, because this seems like a crazy concept of this scary combination of Dr. Octopus and Carnage. Why they haven't done this in any other version of Spider-Man, I don't know. But he's too powerful. We can't fight him. We literally just have to run away. This is almost like the Resident Evil part of this game, where it's just like terrifying. As a child, this terrified me, and I couldn't do it without the help of my uncle the first time around. Very, very scary.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely terrifying. But this is the last level of the game. All we've got to do now is escape. The layout of this level never changes. It's always the same. So basically, the quickest way to be able to navigate through this game, this last level, is just to memorize the pattern, the pathway that you've got to take through this kind of maze to be able to exit the level. If Monster Rock catches up to you, he'll kind of just beat you up and eat. I don't know if he eats you. It kind of looks like he stood over you and kind of like ravaging you, which doesn't look very nice. So we want to avoid that. We want to stay as far ahead of Monster Rock as possible. We don't want him to catch up to us. He makes these terrifying noises. He just shouts at you. Very, very scary. But all we should hopefully need to do is just kind of swing our way to the end of the level. Approaching time, not too long. On this next platform will be time, and that'll be the game. So we've saved the day, we've solved the mystery. Monster Rock will be defeated in this nuclear kind of reaction that explodes, and time.
It's time.
GG's. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And that was Spider-Man. That is another Spider-Man adventure for everyone, hopefully, that you've enjoyed, even though we skipped 90% of the story. It's all fine. We saved the day.
Yeah, if you get to play this game, definitely just watch everything. Like we said, Venom is just insanely funny and entertaining. But yeah, really good game. Absolutely.
Okay, that was a wonderful showcase. That was 12 minutes underestimate. So
Hell yeah. Nice job.
we got a lot of time to kill. But I'll get into that in a bit. I just want to say, GG's Inferno. Thank you, Spyron, for your commentary. You both did absolutely amazing this run.
Yeah, big shout out to Inferno. Did an excellent job really there of displaying all the cool tricks and things within the game. Some very tricky ones as well that we managed to get on the marathon, which is really, really impressive. So big shout out to Inferno for doing a great job.
Yeah, and I appreciate
Absolutely.
you commentating. 'Cause I
Any
had to
shout
walk
outs you
in.
guys would like to give? I've noticed that the Spider-Man community has pulled up a lot in the chat, so any shout outs you want to give out, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, definitely shout out to the whole community. Definitely check out stuff like the Discord, the Spider Runs Twitch channel. Got some cool stuff over there. Yeah, definitely some cool stuff to check out. So.
Yeah, we have our own Discord in there. You can come in. There's this game, and also if you're familiar with the other game, Enter Electro, which is the other game exclusive to PlayStation. For whatever reason, they didn't release that on other consoles. But that we also run that within that Discord. So if you like the look of this, come in, check it out. It's a very good game, I think, casually just to play for one, and then just to learn of the speed run. You can just play. We've got no skips. We've got any percent where you can do the skips. Come in and join us. It's good fun. Again, shout out to Inferno. Go follow Inferno on their social media platforms. Make sure you tune in to everything they're doing. Come follow me as well on Twitch. I just Spyron on Twitch. Generally, you'll find me streaming this game more often than not. I tried to branch out. I keep saying, I'm going to try and learn some more speedrunning games. Oftentimes, you'll load up the stream and it's Spider-Man again. So that doesn't happen very often. But there you go.
I feel that.
Yeah. We try.
Yeah.
We try. We're making attempts.
But yeah, thank you very much, you two. Next up, we are quite a bit ahead of schedule, as I've already noted. So we have a intermission run. We have our second intermission run of the event. It's going to be Sly 3 Bronze Watch Percent by Ison. We have a poll going on in the Sly Wars event Discord, so join in the Discord. Make sure you vote for the language you want to see for that run. While we get set up for Ison doing Bronze Watch Percent. Banger category, trust me. Absolutely banger. But yeah,
it's a heater, that's for sure.
It is a heater. Yeah, thank you very much Inferno and Spyron, for your lovely running commentary. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with Bronze Watch Percent.